the Super Bowl performance as a whole, holy moly. Ay, carajo. There was so much symbolism. I mean, it's all getting out there now. I, for one, was in tears. And some dudes on my Instagrams and YouTubes and all that yesterday with the first video I did about this were like commenting like, "Oh, why don't you speak faster? Get to the point." And this ain't my first rodeo. I've been doing my music blog for 20 years. I'm accustomed to negative comments, and those weren't even that negative. However, like to speak on a topic like this when it directly affects you, it is very emotional. So those pauses, those silences, the slowness is me composing myself and not crying, but yeah. Ever since I published my video, I've seen so many different versions of it, and each one that comes my way, there's some new information that I'm like, wow, that was a parallel that I didn't, put two and two together on. It's art. His performance is art, and art is open to interpretation. I think that's what's so beautiful of Bad Bunny's Super Bowl performance is that everyone, especially those that have lived in countries or spent a lot of time with failing infrastructure and have seen the injustices, whether here in our own country or abroad, everyone felt a connection to it. People felt seen. They took those metaphors and symbols of hardship and it related to them. It unified all of them. But when I shared this video yesterday, I had some incredible discussions with so many friends and family and just people that found my videos on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And I've always thought it was just about the power grid, the infrastructure, the hurricanes, but there was much more to it, which I didn't even know about. It has to do with the electric company, Luma, which is American and Canadian owned. But from what many, many comments I received from people in Puerto Rico or family members, line workers that actually go up on those lines, risking their lives, there is a big, unfair corruption with the electrical company. Bad Bunny's dance symbolized not only the fragile grid, but also the injustice that the people are faced with on the daily because they cannot afford to pay these ridiculous prices that they pay for electricity. And it's for electricity that oftentimes just goes out, that is not reliable. And on a bigger scope, on a grander scale, this is a common thing in so many Latine countries and in so many of the island countries. My family's from Peru and Mexico. Both of my mother and father were born there. I grew up going to these countries as a child and having blackouts, no running water. Those are all things that I always seen as normal when I visited these countries. And it's really sad because it just reflects to the struggle of people that live in other countries, specifically, for this performance, Latin America. If you dive in deeper how it reflects to infrastructure issues across all of Latin America, the Americas, islands, just around the globe in general, it speaks on a grander scale of immigrants leaving those places to find and build better futures here in the United States of America or elsewhere. I feel like, Bad Bunny's entire performance, I mean, we all know it was, full of such beautiful symbolism that goes over the head of the average viewer that isn't a fan of Bad Bunny or just heard of him for the first time or, that doesn't have a Latine background or an immigrant background. It was very heartfelt and very emotional. So Puerto Rico's power company, Luma, has faced so much scrutiny, protest, legal challenges. From what a lot of people were commenting, there is just a ton of corruption behind it. So that imagery you saw during El Apagón, which is the Bad Bunny song he performed to, which translates to the blackout, That imagery you saw of the men in their traditional straw hats, they're called pavas, and the acrobatic dancing, it was an ode, a love letter to the Puerto Rican people, the community members of all places that come together in hard times, which is often when it comes to the power going out. And they get up those power lines themselves, risking their lives because those transformers can blow and do blow, and they come together for their community. It was a beautiful, beautiful ode to them and to the resilience of the Puerto Rican people, los puertorriqueños, their resilience, their strength, and their love and pride, which is something that is not uncommon across all Latine countries from North America, Central, South America. Like, tenemos mucho orgullo por nuestra tierra. We have a lot of pride and love for our land, where we come from. I'm going to read a comment that one person left on my TikTok that I found very, very helpful in understanding how negatively affecting this electrical company, Luma, is. As Puerto Ricans, this part of the show was very powerful symbolism for us. Right now in Puerto Rico, we are fighting against a monopoly called Luma, which is in charge of the island's electricity and power system. It's a deteriorated system, and even though electricity rates keep going up, the service keeps getting worse. Every day, people are left without power, and what Bad Bunny showed here, as it may be to believe happens all the time. For Puerto Ricans, what you saw with the power poles and transformers is our day-to-day reality. The system is so old and so damaged that outages can happen at any moment, right in front of your house, even when it's not raining much. Luma and the Puerto Rico government are stealing millions while we keep getting worse and worse under this electrical system. So, of course, I went to Google, did my research, checked out all the stuff, and you could go check it out. There's plenty of articles out there about it, and it's really unfortunate and sad. So that's what makes that portion of Bad Bunny's performance all the more special, because he was a voice for his people and other people in other lands that experience the same challenges, the same corruption, but have that same resilience and spirit. I also felt Bad Bunny's performance with Ricky Martin for Lo que lo pasó a Hawaii was another beautiful moment because it spoke to stolen land. Hawaii was once a U.S. territory, now a part of the U.S. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. There's parallels with stolen land, and that goes even broader to this very stolen land I'm standing on, and California once being Mexico. The parallels are wide and expansive, and like I mentioned, relatable in so many ways. Even a step further, what happened in Lahaina, the fires, due to, again, problematic electrical companies, power lines. Take it even more further. Look what just happened to us in Altadena, Pasadena. That's me getting emotional again. That one directly impacted me. Power lines are such an archaic structure. Most should be underground, and especially in areas that get such high winds and dry heat, it's been an ongoing problem even here in California with the Camp Fire, the Woolsey Fire, all of them at the fault of electrical companies. So the parallels are insanely large on this, and that's what I mean by it relates to so many people that have suffered at the hands of these huge companies with so much money and that tear communities apart, whether through fire, power outages. And in the end, we never really see any restructuring, any money invested into creating, modern power lines with the times. Like, hello, it is 2026. Fire after fire, death after death, community gone after community gone. And they just shell out the money, settle, hey, call it a day. So there's a bigger picture at large. With Puerto Rico at its center, the show, the entire performance, illuminated a shared struggle in Latin America and beyond. Those who have endured hardship found symbolism in Bad Bunny's performance reflected through their own experiences. But there is unity in numbers and power in numbers. Watching Bad Bunny and all his incredible dancers run around the field with different flags from different countries, Mexico, Peru, Argentina, Brazil. It was gorgeous. And that's what, unifies us. Like, yes, this is all of America as a continent. All of America, not just the United States of America. And Benito, whew, he really brought that home at the end of the show when he brought out the American football that read, "Together we are America." Considering the horrors our nation is facing under the Trump administration and with ICE terrorizing immigrant communities, the messaging was a powerful reminder of who makes up America. It was a nod to the strength and resilience of the Puerto Rican people, los puertorriqueños, and it was a nod to all the gente that have suffered, leaned on each other, and endured. Altogether, you can say it was performance art with some very deep social and political messaging. And art is open to interpretation. And that was the beauty of it, how so many viewers from all over the world saw this performance, connected with it, and saw how that symbolism can relate to them and their struggles. And that was beautiful. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit subscribe so you can subscribe to our YouTube. I'm Sandra, the founder and editor of Grimy Goods. We normally post concerts, new music, artist discovery, artist interviews, all that stuff. But there's also some very important conversations that need to be had. And this is open for discussion, so let us know what you think.